Okay folks, this structure sits inside the cabin of Old Rusty, all the way in the back, and it rests on the inner sills, and you can actually see it on the shape. It sits around the gas tank, because the gas tank is here. And yes, with Old Rusty, you're sitting on top of the gas tank because the seats are right here. So you will have to remove one seat, open up the door of course, undo the gas tank, and then fill it up from the inside in the cabin. It's a bit weird, but that's how it is. I think safety and security in those days didn't matter too much. And anyway, you're sitting on top of the gas tank while you're driving it, so I can imagine you'll have all kind of fumes coming into the cabin. But I guess that's all part of old trucks. Now let's have a look if we have to do any work on this one. It looks okay on the top. However, if I turn it over, then you'll see the disaster again. It's rusted away, and I'm not surprised because this part was sitting on the old sills and they were totally rusted, so we need to repair this. Same thing on this side. That's going to be a little bit of work, but not that much work. This is the bottom side, and you can see how badly rusted that is. So I could build a complete new box, but I can also repair it. I'll think we'll cut it off here, then make this piece of metal, weld it back in place, and then we'll replace this whole inner part, which I can remove here, and then I'll make a new piece that goes inside, and we weld it all up, and it should be all right. The same thing here on the front. I need to cut in a little piece as well, and it's the same on both sides, so I can show you the other side, but it's exactly the same. So any good welding job starts with a good preparation work of the metal. I mean, if the metal isn't clean, you can't weld properly. So I'm going to sandblast that area so I actually have nice clean metal to weld on. And I'm going to use my sandblaster with the vacuum hose on it. So this one recycles the grit that comes out, or as much as it can, of course, because it cannot always recover everything, but it recovers a lot. If you want to see how that thing works, I have a video on that one. It's a great tool, by the way. I wouldn't say it's great to blast a complete car because it's going to take too long, but it works pretty well, and you'll see that. It's going to be a bit noisy now. With this sandblasted, and I didn't use very aggressive grit because I'm recycling it, and I recycled it already a couple of times, so it's losing its bite a bit. But nevertheless, it's a good method to clean up the metal, as you can see. And now we can see at least what the situation is. Those spot welds, I will have to drill them out, and then I can remove this plate easier. And then I will also cut along this edge and then make a new piece. So I'm going to cut along this line and along that line. We already drilled out the spot welds, and then the panel should come off. I don't know if you've ever seen this tool, but this is a great bit. Actually, it different sizes, as you can see. It starts very small and it builds up, and the deeper you push it, the bigger the diameter becomes. And this is one for metal. Very, very handy. I'm going to use it to drill out these holes a bit more because I don't think I've removed all the spot welds in totality. So let's do that. There we go. Okay, so this is the panel we removed, and that's the one we're going to rebuild. So to repair this whole section, I'm actually going to do it in one piece of metal. So we'll go like this, we bend it like this, weld it on, bend it like this. So we're going to form kind of a box, just like the piece that we took out. And that shouldn't be that difficult. That's the part we just cut off the box, and now I'm going to make a template out of it. And I'm using a piece of paper, and some of you have seen this before. And I found this a very easy way to do it. I just place it on the paper and I'm just going to trace it. Now, all around it. Now, I will make a solid line on this side, and on the other sides, where I have a dotted line, that's where I need to fold it. So this side is an area which I need to fold. And now I'm just going to flip over this panel, but make sure you don't shift it or anything like this, because then it won't work. That's where I need to cut it. I also will lift it like this, because I want to have that little lip on it. I'm going to place it right back down. Place it along the contours, because I still need to do one more thing, which is the front part. And I'll mark it over here as well. Let me put my glasses on. It might work a bit better for me. So that's the template. Now I'm going to place it on the sheet metal and cut it out, and then we'll fold it. So let's clean up the edges. Now we're going to bend it. So that's the bend. And now we need to bend this side here. So here we have the box almost done, and we still need to do the front part. So that's the piece completed, ready to be welded on that box. It's not exactly the same as the old one, because that was existing out of two parts, but from a model perspective, it's the same. It looks a little bit better than the old one. Here's the old one. You can see the difference. So now we can weld it in, and then the box should be ready. So let's go and do this. Let's put the piece in place, and then I will lock it with what we call welding magnets. This is a welding magnet, by the way. And let's stick them on there. A couple of them. All right. That looks good. And now we will spot weld in between those welding magnets, and then at the end we'll do a full weld. That looks good. So now let's do the other side. So next we're going to fill up these holes. I call them spot welds, but somebody corrected me on YouTube, and actually they are called butt welds. So let me do a butt weld. Thanks for correcting me. Well, that was one hell of a butt weld. So this is how it was, and this is how it is. It looks quite good. I grinded down the welding seam, and that feels quite smooth now. On the bottom part, I don't need to do much more. I may put some lead up on the sides here because that's a visible part in the cabin. The same thing would be true for the front part here. I will do that as well. But the bottom part, I don't have to worry about anything because that's facing the ground. All right, guys, now I have to do the other side and then we'll put it in the cabin. So I'm not going to show you how I'm going to do the other side because it's exactly the same process. It just, double the work. So as you can tell, the cabin is now back on the rig and the box is been prepared. We welded in one part and I showed you that on the video, and in between I did the other part as well. So now I have a totally complete and intact box which I will mount inside the cabin. So let's do that. All right, folks, Old Trusty looks a bit different now, doesn't it? The cabin now has the inner sills welded in, the cross rear member. So now it's time to fit the box and see if it fits. It's a bit heavy. Let's check this side. And it doesn't go in all the way, but I think it's because it sits on a piece of wood. There we go. Let's see. Yep. All right, guys, the box is in the cabin. It fits nicely, and I still have to sandblast it completely, but I'll do that together with the whole cabin before we spray it. So the next thing will be building the outer sills and repairing the doors. But first of all, tomorrow I'm going to get a lot of pieces. I found a guy in France who is selling a whole pile of stuff from a rusty like this one. A couple of engines and a gearbox, a lot of other stuff, but you'll see that. So tomorrow, part 13 will be a bit special. For once, I'm not going to be welding or grinding or cutting. I will be driving to France. It's about 400 kilometers one way. Anyhow, thank you for viewing, and I'll see you in my next video.